Hey, Jim the Steam Clown here. Hey, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why you might want to code. Coding is like super important. I think today, in today's world, not knowing how to code is going to be the same as not knowing how to read or write. And so, even if you're not going to be a programmer, there's going to be plenty of times where you're going to need to code. And so I think every opportunity you have to learn a little bit of code, to try a little bit of code, to try a project and code something is going to be super important. So for example, today I'm going to talk a little bit about, coding on this Arduino. And it's just a little microcontroller, but this microcontroller can be connected to a motor controller, which can be connected to some motors, which then can drive a little robot around. And so let's talk a little bit about how you might do that. What some of the opportunities that are available. So for example, just learn to code. Find a class, find a boot camp, find free stuff. There's tons of free things available that you can do to to learn how to code. So for example, uh, Tinkercad. Tinkercad is a tool from Autodesk, and it lets you do some 3D printing designs, but it also lets you do some electronic designs. So you could go in, log in, get an account here, go to create, go to a circuit. It's going to let you bring up a little space here where you can actually design a little circuit, and you can come in and design with an Arduino. Um, and of course, I'm doing this super fast, and you need to kind of go through a tutorial to figure all this stuff out. But here's a quick tutorial, right? I've got a little Arduino right here. There's a little LED that's going to turn on and off and on and off and on and off, and so I can actually run some code here. So I can click on this code link, and it shows this code. And it basically says, forever, I'm going to turn on this LED high, which means I'm turning it on. Then I'm going to wait for a second, and then I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to wait for a second. And this is just some code that you can actually go and modify and edit. And if I run this simulation, you'll see that this LED is turning on and off, on and off. You look right here, right? LED turning on, turning off, right? And that was done by this code. Now, this is block-based code, and that's a good place to start, but pretty soon you're going to want to actually be able to do this code and do it as text. And so you can come in here and you can say block to text, and now we can actually look at the text here that is showing off this code that we're doing in blocks, right? And so here we're basically saying, hey, we're going to loop forever. We're going to do a digital write to a IO called an output called LED built-in, and it's going to turn it high, and then it's going to wait. It's going to delay for 1,000 milliseconds. Then it's going to turn the other one on, turn it off, and then it's going to turn it and wait. And it's going to do that over and over and over again. And so again, if we look at this code, right, and we turn this code into text, completely into text, now we've got this code, right? And if we start the simulation, same thing happens. LEDs turning on, turning off, turning off. And we can come in here and we can actually make an edit to this code, right? And so instead of 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second, we can take it to 500, and we can change this to say 500 or 200, right? So like half a second or a quarter of a second, right? We change this, and we run that simulation, and now our LED is flashing faster, right? So we just did a little bit of coding, right? We just did a little bit of coding where uh, where we manipulated we manipulated this LED in this code, right? And so that's coding, right? That's not super hard. And of course, you can get really, 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 really complex if you want. Where do you find this stuff out? How do you learn stuff? Where do you go? Well, there's tons of sites. Just jump on YouTube and like search for Arduino, and you can do a little project. And the cool thing about Tinkercad is that you don't actually have to have the hardware in your hand, right? I mean, eventually you're going to want to get your own little Arduino, and you're going to want to actually build a robot, but you can learn to code in your browser in a simulator, right? So where else can you go? Well, there's another site called Instructables, and Instructables is basically step-by-step guides on how to do stuff. And here there's 1,000 projects, 10,000 projects on how to do something with an Arduino, right? This project here, it's basically a light sensing, a light sensor, and being able to write some code to be able to detect whether it's light or dark, right? And you can do this in Tinkercad, right? You can do this whole design in Tinkercad where you can have a little light sensor and check to see if it's bright or not, and it'll turn your LED on and on. And you can write some code to do that. So there's so many things you can do, just little projects that are not giant steps, but just little tiny projects to learn how to do some code. Another site is Udemy, and you can come to Udemy and you can search for Arduino, and you can search for, all the courses that are free, and it'll list out a whole bunch of Arduino classes that are free. And so you can learn how to do stuff for free. So before you go pay for a boot camp, or you pay, thousands of dollars for a class, go find the free stuff. YouTube, there's tons of creators who do stuff on YouTube. There's Udemy, and lots of other learning sites. There's free online books, free online tutorials, and of course, Tinkercad, where you can go fiddle around and build your electronic circuits and do your coding in an Arduino in a browser. So go out and learn to code. Bye.